everyone, my name is Dr. Bryce Newcomer. I teach clarinet at Virginia Tech, and today I'm going to be talking to you about this year's Virginia District 6 All-District B-Flat Clarinet Etude. The first thing you'll notice about this etude is that there is a lot jam-packed into 25 measures. There are a lot of differences in articulation, dynamics, and rhythm. The first thing you'll want to do is look at the stylistic differences between the three main sections. The first section and the last section are marked allegro ma non troppo, while the second section is marked adagio legatissimo. The first and third section should have more separation in the articulation, as well as more accents. The second section should be as smooth and connected as possible. When working on the first section, I would pay special attention to where the accents are and lead into each of these accents so that you can show a difference without distracting yourself from the dynamic. Importantly, I would look at the resonance fingerings that you're using while playing B-flat. The first B-flat, you may want to use more fingers in your resonance fingering than the last B-flat because of the dynamic differences. On the first B-flat, I'm putting my whole right hand down so that I can have a nice resonance on that note without going too flat. On the last B-flat, where it is marked forte in bar 8, this one you may want to use a few less fingers because the pitch tendency of the note is likely to go flat the louder you get. So for this one, I'm only putting down the first and third finger of my right hand in order to keep this pitch a little bit higher. You'll notice that there is a rallentando marked before the adagio legatissimo, as well as a fermata on this final B flat. I recommend holding it out at least 1 or 2 beats before you end the note to show this difference. Before you take the pickup into the adagio legatissimo, feel free to let the resonance of the B flat carry into the room, let out any bad air that you have, and then take a nice deep breath to put yourself into the mindset of the new tempo. One thing that I like to do during sections like this is to sing the first couple notes in my head before I begin so that I know that I'm going to start in the correct tempo. Now let's talk about the adagio legatissimo section. In this section, you'll want to be as connected as possible while paying special attention to a lot of rhythmic pitfalls throughout the section. The first rhythmic pitfall is in bars 12 and 13. You'll notice there is a triplet going into a quarter note triplet. The tendency of this quarter note triplet is to play it unevenly, with the third quarter note triplet being cut short. What I recommend doing is practice subdividing this quarter note triplet into eighth note triplets to make sure that it's even. This will sound as so. And then when you take out the subdivision, it will sound like an even quarter note triplet. Another thing you'll want to pay attention to here is the tendency when we have quarter note triplets is for students to play them more separated. However, since we are in this adagio legatissimo section, we'll want this to be as smooth and connected as possible. Notice when you have this crescendo leading into bar 14 that you are leading to a mezzo forte on a low F sharp. The tendency of these low notes is to go flat whenever we're playing loudly, so I want to be sure that we are keeping our corners tight and our tongue high to avoid going flat on this low F sharp. Afterwards, you have a long decrescendo to the end of this section. At the end of the decrescendo, you'll notice a rallentando after this held out low G. To perform this rallentando effectively, you'll want to be sure that you delay the entrance of the last 2 notes of that bar and play them a little bit slower than your tempo in this adagio section. You have another fermata on this low G before entering tempo primo. What you want to do on this low G is hold it out a little bit longer than a dotted half note, adding in 1 or 2 extra beats to show the fermata. Include a nice solid taper at the end to ensure that you are letting the resonance of that note carry off before you return to the allegro ma non troppo style. In the last section, you'll notice that there's a rallentando that happens a little bit earlier than in the first section. Here, you'll want to be sure that you are gradually getting slower on those last 2 beats, while being able to keep enough air to hold the final fermata over the B flat as long as possible with a good sound while avoiding spreading. In order to do this, I would recommend using the same resonance fingering that you used on the B flat in bar 8, and to keep your corners nice and firm and your tongue nice and high to avoid the note getting out of control. Thank you for joining me for my advice on this year's All-District Etude. If you have any questions or would like me to hear your rendition of the Etude, go ahead and send me an email at bnewcomer@vt.edu. I hope you enjoy my performance of this year's Etude. Thank you.